Right, well, you know, Sam, nothing can really stop. Nothing can really stop unless I have my morning cup of tea. You don't know that. Anyway, greetings, one and all. This is Lloyd Brown. Welcome to Lloyd Brown Music. And today is Bank Holiday Monday, and it is around after 8. It's around 2.5 hours since I got up, which was like 5:45 this morning. Reason being was because I had a food delivery at around between 6 and 8, and the brother reached early. Why did he reach early? Because I could hear him banging out some beats in his delivery van before he reached. Anyway, cut a long story short, he delivered the goods, knocked on my door, opened the door. Young Nigerian youth in his mid-20s. Said, "Good morning, sir. How you doing?" And that was a great start, because usually when certain people deliver my food, it's like, take it. Anyway, yeah, very, very pleasantly spoken, well spoken, manners. And I thought, okay, I'm going to show you my gratitude. So I gave him my album. Looked at the album. Oh, what? What? Album cover looks sick. Is that you? Anyway, I digress. That's why I'm up this time of the morning. But I wasn't going to make an appearance on social media until September, where I was going to actually start a whole different marketing campaign. But due to recent events, literally within the last 24 hours, I simply had to make an appearance in giving yet another tribute to the upsetter, Lee Scratch Perry. I had to charge up the phone as well. That's why I took another couple of hours, because, to be honest with you, there's not enough battery in my phone, and I don't really have a whole heap of time to go through the discography with you, because it's out there. And that's one of the great things about musicians being in it for the right reasons, so that when they do pass, you have their legacy to embrace. And boy, did Lee Scratch Perry have a freaking legacy, man. I think it was rumored that he had at least 1,000 recordings. Now, whether those, well, obviously the 1,000 recordings kind of culminated into albums of some kind, tunes that he produced, tunes that he performed on over the last 60 years, man. That's more years than I've been alive on this earth. That's saying something. Anyway, where do I start? Where do I start? There's a few things that comes to mind where Lee Scratch Perry is concerned. They might be similar to some, they might be unfamiliar to some as well. But the reason why I make these videos is simply because of the influence that individual gave me, and it being my duty to extol the virtues of those said people in musical form. So with Lee Scratch Perry, there's a whole heap of tunes, whole heap. It's just reminiscent of when this reporter went to Studio One and asked the bass player, I forgot the brother's name, man. Forgot the brother's name, but I'm sure someone's going to tell me in the comment section below. And he asked the bass player, so how many tunes you played on in Studio One? And he simply answered, don't ask me that question, man. Too much, 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 too much. That's my mindset when it comes to Lee Scratch Perry. You can't begin. But let's just say the tunes that were resonant with me as a youth growing up, and these are a few among many, but these are the songs that really resonated with me. And they're resonant because of the fact of my dad and his love for music. You know, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be where I am now. Just lost in music. But anyway, going back to the songs that resonated with me the most. Police and Thieves. George Faith's Have Some Mercy. Oh my gosh. There's so many. Susan Cadogan's Hurt So Good, for sure. Dreadlocks in Moonlight. You send your big neck police friend fi come call I up. Tick, tick, tick. And when they walk right in and call up the scene. Rosefish and cornbread. And also his production of Bob Marley's Small Axe. And also the 9-minute and 40-odd second version of Punky Reggae Party, where you heard a rare moment in Bob's vocal delivery, is when you heard Bob scatting. Sabado papididui, sadudu patididui, tabadi tabadi. If you haven't heard it, Google that. The 9-minute version of Punky Reggae Party, man. Bad. Anyway, and I forgot another tune. The Jolly Brothers, Conscious Man. Got to be a conscious man when you fall in love. Oh my gosh, man. That was just synonymous with Saturday soup. You know, music is a very powerful thing, man. Music can just transport you to many different places. But the beloved radiogram in the front room of 16 Pembroke Road, Tottenham N15 4NW was like, that was my world, man. That was my world. So those songs produced and performed by Lee Perry was the one that resonated with me the most because of my growing up with him. Now, people can band about words like, you know, legend and genius. And I mean, that goes without saying. They go without saying. But I think the word that sums up Mr. Perry is visionary. And the reason why I inclined to that description of him, because visionaries are they're very focused people. You know, visionaries are people that focus their attention to their craft and the way they maintain the craft, much to everybody else's displeasure, disapproval, criticism, or what have you. You know what I mean? You know, with Mr. Perry, it was like everything else outside of his zone just didn't matter, was irrelevant. And it's safe to say, and I'm going to say this without any apology, is that I consider Mr. Perry to be the original Mad Professor. He was the original Mad Professor. Because some people basically create pop culture and some people just emulate it. And for me, Mr. Perry was one of those in that elite circle of Jamaican music visionaries, alongside King Tubbies, alongside scientists, just to name a couple. You know what I mean? There's a lot. There's a lot. But the good thing and the blessed thing that I can hold on is that in that era, everyone had their own trademark, their own style. You know, they weren't trying to sound like anybody else. They weren't trying to lick over rhythms and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And the one element in Mr. Perry's production that will always be resonant with me, pardon the pun, is the resonant, filtered, phasered hi-hat. From you hear that, you know it's Lee Perry. You know it's him. You know it's him. Or Striker Lee. That's another visionary as well. Like I said, there's a whole heap. But for me, there's just so much material from that individual. 85 years old, man. I want to be like him when I grow up. And the reason why I likened him to being the real Mad Professor was because he was just unconventional, totally unconventional, a one-off. I think the first time I actually saw Lee Scratch Perry, well, it was only twice I saw him, once on TV and once in Europe. And when I saw him on TV, it was part of that documentary that Jules Holland made in Jamaica. I think it was around the mid-80s, where he linked up with Sly and Robbie, Yellow Man, Eka Mouse, Little John, Dennis Brown. And I remember the scene when Jules went to the Black Ark studio and Lee Scratch Perry, he put a toast on his head and he said, "Yes, I am a positive toaster. I'm not a bragger or a boaster. I'm just a positive toaster." So, okay. But he was just a genius. He was just an... And I know the anoraks are going to come out and say, well, in 1968, and blah, 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 he done blah, 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 and blah, 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 and rah, rah, rah. And to me, it's not all about that. It's about the musical food. See? Man can be as technical as they want to in describing the technique and this and that. But remember, when Lee Perry was basically producing certain tunes, Europe didn't really have no interest. The European market have had no interest. You know what I mean? Why? Because we were more or less the gatekeepers to the legacy when we made the movement from Jamaica to the UK as part of the Windrush generation. So it was something that we held on to. But now it's almost a case where you got people that just knew about the thing the other day and want to teach me about it. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject altogether. But anyway, for me, it was about the musical food. Because in that era, you didn't have Google, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have social media, you didn't have mobile phones. So the music was basically the barometer of what was going on socially. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what connected with people. You know, intelligent people, people who couldn't read or write, but they could all identify what was going on through the music. And the music basically portraying the joy, sadness, hope, frustrations, struggles of mankind the world over in our inimitable style of reggae music. And that's something that Mr. Perry definitely did do. And to have that level of genius, you're not going to be seen as normal because you're not part of the in crowd. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not part of the clique. And that's how visionaries are made, because of their focus to the music, their focus to the craft. Because he's not licking over the party time rhythm, then he's not part of what's going on. I don't think so. Forgive me if this video is kind of going in a whole heap of directions, but when one looks back at the work of a musician, producer, performer, that it's safe to say has left an astounding legacy for us. Thinking of what was the coup then to what the coup is now, with more technology available to us. Anyway, I'm digressing, but I just want to take the opportunity, as always, in sending my condolences out to the family, and coupled with huge thanks and gratitude for the body of work that you have put out. I mean, the man's even on this computer game, Grand Theft Auto, as a DJ. Do you know what I'm saying? You know? So his place, let me rephrase that. Mr. Lee Scratch Perry's place in popular culture is set. Rock stone. See? Anyway, thank you for the music. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's really all I've got to say at this moment in time. I don't relish making these videos, but I have to make them, especially when the person who has passed has been of influence to me. So with that, I'm going to bid you adieu, and I'm out of here, and I will catch you next time on a more productive video. All right. Anyway, I can hear myself waffling. Maganski. Laters. Take it easy. Bye-bye.